Hey everyone. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what I've done to replace Moviepass. I made a couple videos about when I was using Moviepass, worked fine for a while, then they went into all their troubles, and then it became really hard to use the service. So what had ended up happening was I figured out a way to sort of breach their terms of service where you could check into one movie but still go see another movie, but then the checking in process itself became difficult, where if you didn't get to the theater right when it opened, they would eliminate all possible showtimes to check in and all that stuff. And then eventually, the debit card I had attached to my Moviepass account to charge me, it ended up getting deactivated and I needed to get a new card for various reasons. And so it ended up skipping a payment cycle and they couldn't charge me, and then once the card came in correctly and they did charge me, they still claimed that I didn't pay them a month and they wouldn't let me check in. So eventually I'm like, well, fuck it, this service isn't working, so I'm going to cancel it. And so then it became, well, I still want to see hundreds of movies a year, but paying for tickets to all of those becomes rather onerous when there's other bills and stuff going on. And I don't work for a theater anymore, so they're not free. So it's almost a year since I've worked for a movie theater, by the way. So then AMC A-List, or Stubbs A-List, was probably the best option going from there. But the closest AMC is like 15 minutes away, and it's closer. There's many more Regals that are actually closer to me, and they don't have a subscription plan in the US as of yet. Oddly enough, my fiance and I are moving to a different, bigger place. Aside from my one-bedroom, will be a much bigger place. And there's actually an AMC close to that. But what happened in the interim before that is there is a single Alamo Drafthouse theater in Raleigh. It's about 15 minutes away highway or 20 minutes away back roads, because I only drive back roads. My fiance is a normal person who can drive on the highway. But I like to go there a lot because they have like the special screenings of indie movies or movie parties of like classic films where they give you all props and do some fun stuff. The Academy Awards, I went there, just gave a $5 donation, and you got to have, there were two stand-up comedians who did like jokes during the commercial breaks, and you got to watch the Oscars on the big screen and recliners and everything, and have the Alamo Drafthouse movie, food, and all that stuff, and that was a really fun experience. Won a couple DVDs from their like little bingo raffles and everything. It was really fun. I mean, for $5, that was a really fun thing to do. But the Alamo Drafthouse is my favorite theater to go to. They have cool movie stuff to buy in the lobby. You can rent VHSs for pretty cheaply if you wanted. You can rent DVDs for free, as long as you only like rent 2 at a time and keep it for a week. They have like little pins for sale. They have these great movie-related t-shirts and stuff. It's a really fun place, and then they do all these cool screenings. New Year's Eve, 2018 going into 2019, went to go see a screening of the original Back to the Future, and they had special cocktails and special props and everything. It's really fun. Their pre-shows are great, where they put on different like funny little like exploitation clips and stuff like that. They have a really strict no talking policy, which I love, because people who talk during movies are the lowest form of human scum. And, you know, back when I worked for Regal, you know, if there was a loud theater and people, they didn't want to, like, stop the movie or throw all the people talking out. They would rather just refund the people who were tired of it and let the assholes have the theater, which I thought was the worst policy ever. Regal's under new ownership now, since I quit there, so I don't know if that policy has changed, but I have some other friends who still work there. But I love that, although that this theater is now a quiet zone stuff. I love that music. That's great. Because really, fuck that shit. But it's, for someone who loves movies, it's the best theater to go to. So, Alamo had started beta testing their own subscription plan. The first market they did that in was Yonkers, New York, which always just reminds me of the movie Lost in Yonkers with Richard Dreyfuss. Movie that bombed in like the mid-90s, but I had seen it back in the mid-90s and thought it was pretty funny. I don't know, maybe it doesn't hold up, I haven't seen it since. But the second market was my local one, Raleigh. And the Alamo Drafthouse in Raleigh, it's only been open for like a year. It hasn't been open very long. It's still pretty new. So when I saw that, I was thinking, all right, maybe we'll try this out and see how it is. So I had it for a month now. I'm going into my second month. We'll see if I renew it for a third month or whatever, because again, I'm moving to a place where I'm just down the road from an AMC that's been nicely remodeled and everything. It has MacGuffins and the recliners and all that good stuff. But we'll see. So it's beta testing still, so the season pass, which is what they call their subscription plan, that I have might be different from other people even in the same market and different than the Yonkers ones. But it's basically $19.99 a month for one person. I've also added my fiance on because I see the vast majority of movies I go to see with her. And that was an additional $18.99. So with taxes and everything, it's coming out to about $40 a month. Which means, considering it's about 12 to 13 bucks to see a movie at night at Alamo, you break even if you see at least 3 movies. Or you break even at about 2 movies, and it starts paying for itself after the 3rd movie. In the first month, I saw 5 movies that the season pass covered. 1 alone and the other 4 with my fiance. So the price, like $19.99 for one person or whatever, that's about what like Stubbs A-List charges, I believe. It was still $10 more than Moviepass ever charged me. So there's a couple things I don't like about it. The first is that you still have to pay the processing fee to buy the ticket online, because you can only buy tickets through the app with the season pass. You can't just go up to box office and physically buy one. And that's about $1.40 processing fee, so that's added on. So every time I get a ticket with the season pass, I'm still paying like $3 change for the 2 tickets. So I don't like that, because there's still the extra charge. That was one of the big deficits about Cinemia, that they still charge you per card transaction. It would be great if they didn't have that. It also only covers screenings of regular released movies. So that does include indie movies. Like this weekend, I'm planning to see Gaspar Noé's Climax. And earlier, prior to having Season Pass, I had seen stuff like Anna and the Apocalypse there, and Cold War, the Polish film that got some Oscar nominations. Movies that aren't released in like major theaters for the most part, but just kind of go to the art house stuff, but they'll still go to Alamo. So it covers those, but it doesn't cover like the special screenings, like the movie parties, or it didn't cover the Oscar thing, and it doesn't cover like basically any of the special screenings of like classic movies. So like Terror Tuesdays or Weird Wednesdays. I'm usually working during those nights anyway, so I can't really go to them. But sometimes they have special screenings on like Fridays and Saturdays. Coming up in April, they're doing a movie party of Clue, the Tim Curry 80s movie that I love, so I'd like to go see that on Friday, but that's going to be something I have to pay for. But it will cover anything that's in like regular release. So one of the best things about Alamo is that they have these movie stuff, these movie parties and these specialty screenings, and unfortunately the fact that their season pass doesn't cover those is kind of a deficit. So the only movies I can usually see with this are either major releases that I could just go to AMC or Regal for, or some of these art house movies, which I do like to go see a lot of, so that part's a plus. So not covering everything they show and the extra processing fee for tickets are the biggest deficits. And there's a couple things, like Alamo's reward program isn't the best. I think that after 5 movies, you get like a buy one, get one milkshake. I think I'm at like 9 or 10 visits now, so I get like a free snack or something. It'd be great if they had better rewards for that. So there's that. You do get to... the season pass lets you buy tickets for 1 movie a day. So, for instance, if I buy a ticket for a movie today, I can't buy tickets for another movie until tomorrow. But if I buy a ticket yesterday for a movie today, I can still buy a ticket for today. So I haven't tested this yet, but I might be able to see 2 movies in one day on the season pass as long as I actually physically purchase the tickets on the app on consecutive days. Because it seems like it's not a limit to how many movies you can see per day, it's a limit to how many tickets you can buy per day, which is just for 1 movie. So that's a limit. You can only buy tickets up to 7 days in advance using Season Pass, so I can't buy something, like I can't buy Avengers Endgame at the end of April yet, as I'm recording this in mid-March. You can only do 1 week in advance, which is kind of fine. I haven't had problems. Like, I like to sit in the front row in the center anyway. I find sitting close to the screen makes for a more immersive experience. I used to follow the old Roger Ebert adage of sitting twice as far back as the screen is wide, but I like being immersed in the image. And because Alamo has like the waitstaff and everything, there's a nice distance between the front row and the screen where you can still be immersive, but you're not hurting your neck or anything. My fiance might disagree on this, but I really like sitting there. And it's usually not that difficult to get those seats. So far, the only movie I've had kind of trouble getting seats with was Captain Marvel, because I went to go see that opening Saturday night. Opening Friday, but the opening weekend. and I was just slightly to the right of where I normally sit because I still purchased it like an hour or 2 hours ahead of time. And the theaters in this Alamo, the small theaters only fit like 50 people, the bigger theaters might fit like 75 or 100. They're pretty small theaters, and I think they have 10 theaters total. So there's not a lot of seating in any of these theaters, but it's still not too bad if you're buying stuff a little bit in advance, even a couple hours in advance. If you show up like half an hour before the movie or an hour before the movie and try to buy it in person, you'll get sold out. I've had movies sold out at Alamo when I've gone to see them before. Sorry to bother you, because it was the only theater in the area that was playing that movie and stuff like that. But ultimately, I guess one of the other differences is, unlike an AMC plan or a Regal plan, there's only one Alamo Drafthouse location in Raleigh, so I can only use it at a single theater as opposed to using it at different locations of a chain. And the Alamo Drafthouse isn't located in the best area of Raleigh. It's a little bit off of downtown Raleigh, but there's like, you know, a Family Dollar with bars on the windows right next to it, so it's not the best area to go to. It's not like terribly dangerous or anything, it's just not, it's not very conveniently located. It's still a bit of a drive, as opposed to, you know, currently I live down the road from a Regal. At the new place I'm going to live down the road from an AMC, but it's still 15 to 20 minutes to go to this Alamo. But I'll still choose to see something at Alamo because of the no talking policy, because of the really cool pre-shows that aren't just advertisements. They're actually fun things that are part of the experience, to see if there's anything new I want to buy in the lobby. Like, I had recently bought like a cool little Mondo Robocop and Camp Crystal Lake pin, and I have a lot of the different shirts and hoodies. This shirt isn't from there, but I've bought other shirts and hoodies from there. It's just a really cool place to be. So that is a deficit. If they decide to expand this beyond a beta test and sort of solidify it, you know, maybe if they tack on an extra fee to cover the movie parties, or if they just include the movie parties, if they got rid of the processing fee for cards, I think that would be a big step as well. If you got like a little bit of a discount, because you don't get a discount on the food, and almost every time I go to Alamo I'm getting something, even if it's just like a little beverage, because I really like, they have really good, really hot wings. They have this great, like, masala chai tea thing. Sometimes I just want a club soda. I always also feel bad not getting anything there because the waiter comes up and all that stuff. There's been 1 or 2 times where I've gotten absolutely nothing at Alamo, though. And I know if, like, Stubbs A-List gives you, like, 10% off concessions or something. It'd be nice if the season pass gave you, like, a token amount off of the bill on the food. Because, I mean, the whole reason they're having this season pass is because theaters don't make money off of the tickets. That goes to the distributors and the movie companies. They make all of their money off of their food and at Alamo alcohol, so they probably have some pretty healthy profit margins from that and the merchandise and all that stuff. So if you got a little discount on the merchandise or on the food, like even if it's just like 10% or just a token amount, that would be a nice thing. So, but I've already kept it for 1 month. I got my money's worth out of there. I spent $40 and I saw like 5 movies, so at least 3 of those were like free, even if you tack on the processing fee of like, you know, $2 to $4 each movie. And I'm going to do this for the 2nd month now, so I'm already seeing 2 movies this weekend. I'm seeing Captive State tonight, I've already pre-bought my tickets, and then tomorrow at some point I'm seeing Climax. Next week is Us, but I don't think we're seeing that at Alamo because my fiance's parents want to go see it with us. But there's other stuff going on. I mean, obviously, I might keep it through to Avengers because seeing Avengers in a theater where assholes can't talk would be really nice. And they, like, Captain Marvel had a really cool pre-show that went over like Captain Marvel and how Shazam was called Captain Marvel and the different names and stuff. It was a really cool comic book lesson kind of thing. I recently saw Alita Battle Angel. I finally got around to seeing that, and they had a really cool pre-show like with Metropolis and other like robot stuff. It's more fun seeing a movie there than just anywhere else, as opposed to a fucking Regal with like fucking Maria Menounos and, you know, the Nuvi thing, because, you know, encouraging people to use their phone to play a fucking game at the theater. That's a great fucking idea. So, so I'm gonna keep Season Pass for at least another month, maybe through until May. At some point it may just become more feasible to keep A-List and then just go to Alamo on the one-offs for the movies that don't come to the AMC, just because of travel time and cost and that kind of thing. But ultimately, it's roughly the same price as if my fiance and myself both got a Stubbs A-List, because I believe Stubbs A-List is like $20 a month. This is about $20 a month per person. It's roughly the same price. And also, it's just kind of a shorter travel time. But I do really like going to see movies at Alamo. If my work schedule were slightly different, I'd probably go see a lot more of the movie parties on like Mondays, or the VHS exploitation movies on Tuesdays and that kind of thing. Oh, and my fiance and I are actually getting married at Alamo in 2020. We've rented a theater, and we're going to have some people there and have a little movie screening and everything, and it's going to be pretty fun. So obviously really like the place if I'm fucking getting married there. It's also much cheaper than almost any other wedding venue I looked at. Alright, so that's pretty much that. Extremely busy, because I think I mentioned this in other videos, but I don't know what order I'm putting these up in. But recently got engaged. We're moving. I had gotten a newer car. Instead of a junky old 2000 Toyota, I have a tiny little 2012 Scion now. Just a lot of life changes are happening right now. My life is very busy, so I apologize if I don't get videos up as fast as I used to back in the day. But that should be it. If you're in the Raleigh, or I guess the Yonkers area, and you're interested in Alamo Season Pass, I think you have to sign up for a wait list. I had signed up for a wait list as soon as the Alamo thing opened, and then I got an email prompting me that I was able to sign up. But if you're interested in it, I'd say if you like going to Alamo specifically, and you're going to see at least 3 movies or more a month, then it's worth it for the price. Even with the tacked on like $1.40, $1.60 processing fee per ticket. But again, if it covered the movie parties and the other stuff, it would be a lot better, and if they took away that pesky little processing fee, which isn't much, but it still adds on to the cost-benefit analysis of having the season pass. But that's about it. I'd still recommend it if you're interested in that and you're in one of those 2 locations. I don't know if they're going to revamp the season pass. I don't know if they'll expand it nationwide to all the Alamos, but it's pretty cool. And I'm glad I have it. I got a lot of use out of it in late February, early March, and I'll probably get a lot of use out of it until we decide on if we're going to do the AMC thing or not.